Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Soul Sisters podcast. We're so happy to have you with us today. Alyssa, say hi. She's here too.
Good, all the things. Hello.
Hello. By the time that this drops, will be World Yoga Day, and we're so excited, and we're going to celebrate that with you. And today we are going to talk a little bit about our yoga journey and why we love yoga. And then we're going to give you a little taste of what we love, a little tidbit that you can do maybe in bed or just seated, start of the day, end of the day, and end with our normal meditation. So we're going to get into some yoga. But before we do, let's all take a breath for balance. When you're ready, inhale. And exhale. Oh, yeah. That's the stuff. Happy World Yoga Day, Liz.
Oh, happy World Yoga Day. We love yoga. Yoga means union as one translation from Sanskrit. And I like things that feel connected or together or unionized. So happy World Yoga Day.
Yeah. I know we had a podcast last year that we talked about like where yoga journey started and how it kind of progressed. Where do you think your yoga journey is at right now?
Ooh, good question. I think I am a very, I treat my yoga practice as pretty sacred. I don't teach right now very much, but I think I want to get back into it. I've been thinking about just like offering more options like that. But I attend yoga a couple days a week, and if my mental health is funky, I attend yoga. I was just thinking, like, I randomly went to a kind of like an advanced yoga class and hadn't known the instructor, like didn't know what to expect, and it went really well. And after that, I was like, wow, I think I could attend, like, I don't want to say all or even most, but like I think I could attend many yoga classes and like get by with my experience. So I think that's where I'm at right now. What about you?
I think the way that your practice can progress is so interesting because for me, it's interesting that we talk about like that union that yoga means, because for me, my yoga has always really been about community. I started my yoga journey with you and one of my very dear friends, Kaylee, and it kind of progressed into my life where I taught, and then it became something I did with my spouse, and really it became something I did with Chubbs when he was alive. And so I'm coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that, and I noticed that my practice is not quite as frequent as it used to be because I think I'm still processing and grieving that loss. It's very hard for me to practice without him because I'm just so used to him being on the mat with me. And now I have these 2 new wonderful dogs, Tigger and Edna, and they they are not ready to yoga yet. They had that puppy energy, and they just went like, I'm on the ground and want to wrestle, a little bit bigger than he was. So I would say right now it's something that I do almost naturally instead of like going to a class. I'm not teaching right now. It's more like, oh, I'll turn my camera off during a work meeting and allow myself to do some yoga if I don't necessarily need to be speaking in present, or I'll do it in bed when I wake up in the morning, or maybe, Troy's out of the house and I just need a minute to myself to unwind, and I'll do it. So I wouldn't say it's quite as succinct as it used to be ever since he passed away, but it's more so just something that happens right now.
I think that's really insightful, and noticing that it is a practice and it changes as you change. I think this like theme that we've come up with of like union and like the natural state of what yoga is for you. It's like my body calls for something, my brain will tell me to do something about that. And I think that's kind of like the natural flow that yoga kind of brings people. There's like this connection to our brain and our body and sometimes our soul, depending on, how you want to interpret yoga, it's connecting all those things together. And so I think that what you're saying is just a natural transition of like what yoga could be, for anyone who's curious or, you know, on the fence about like, oh my God, yoga, what does that mean?
Well, it doesn't always have to be, hot yoga class, or it doesn't always have to be this crazy, insightful, like spiritual thing. Sometimes it can just be, like you said, honoring the way you feel in the moment. And I think that's just kind of where I am, where I'm putting less pressure on myself to like go to class or teach a class or make sure that every Monday at 5 o'clock, Troy and I, we do our yoga practice. And it's more so just like, I have an ache here, or I feel like I need to like get some energy out of my body. So me move, and I just naturally go into those movements.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I think there's definitely an aspect of like chair yoga that's built into my workday, car yoga, if I can sit on the floor during a meeting, any kind of just like subtle movements, it can be a yoga practice. Yeah.
What's your
I think that's
favorite yoga movement,
hmm.
or like flow?
I want to say Shavasana, where I just lay there. But I think it's like at the end, once
Yeah.
you've done the movement, like that feeling of just like, wow, like I've connected a lot
Yeah.
in this hour. Like I've moved my body in a way that makes me feel connected to it. My favorite pose probably wouldn't be Shavasana, I guess, but like a mountain pose, like just arms in the air, you're like, ta-da, I'm here. What's yours?
I feel like if you if you don't say Shavasana is your favorite, did you really just do yoga? I don't know. There's something about hitting that lay on your back and like your limbs just like pouring outward that just feels so good. My favorite pose, I'm trying to think. Really, I connect very much with like the trauma and emotion that we keep in our hips. So I really love a hip opener. I really love, I'm a pigeon girl for sure, even though it can be really painful sometimes. I always either reach not painful like you should stop, but like it's just uncomfortable, I guess I could say, or just sore. But I always hit a point in pigeon where like I either like some type of emotion always comes up for me. So I think that's probably my favorite.
For anyone who doesn't know what pigeon is, it's a pretty deep hip opener. And there's a form of yoga called yin yoga where you hold maybe like 4 poses for an hour, right? Like you can shift if you need to, and you can come out of them if you need to, do variations. And oftentimes pigeon is one of those poses that is like asking you to hold it. And there's different forms where you can like lay on your back and pull your hip towards you. So you're not putting all of your body weight on your hips as you're sitting down on them. So there's options, but yeah, I think there's really something to be said on dealing with that discomfort, because if you sit in one way for any amount of time without a subtle movement, like there's going to be some discomfort because we're people and we move and we fidget and we, look around. And so I think that that's just a really cool point that Emily brings up of like things you can get out of yoga if you practice, try, check it out.
I think it's interesting though what you said, sitting in the discomfort, because in my outpatient therapy that I did this summer was actually like part of exposure therapy as well, where you just have to sit in the discomfort and recognize that it might be uncomfortable, but it's not dangerous and you just don't like it, right? So I think that's interesting to make that parallel, because exposure therapy is really, really hard for me. And this summer was really, really hard for me. And sitting in that discomfort is not something I wanted to do, but when it's yoga, I'm like, yeah, let's sit in it. let's open those hips up. So I don't know, there's just something about what you said in that way, like sitting in the discomfort triggered that for me a little bit. I think it's a very interesting contrast.
Yeah. And, often in yin yoga classes, I'll be told, you know, you're meant to feel some discomfort. If it's a sharp shooting pain or unbearable, come out of it. And I think that's also a cool life lesson of just like, yeah, we can tolerate stressful things. If they're like unnatural or shocking, like, of course, it would be harder to tolerate those things. But yeah, I do think like practicing sitting with our discomfort is huge in therapy in like so many ways and in our bodies and our movement. And I think that yoga is building a muscle, a physical muscle and like a physical brain muscle too, of like, okay, I've done hard things. I can come back to my breath. I can always come back to my breath. Wow, my breath.
Yeah, no, but that really is like one of the techniques that you taught me and that I had to relearn in therapy this summer. But I'm curious to know, because I remember when, and we talked about this on our last podcast about yoga, but I am interested to know your thoughts behind the transition. I know when we first started, we were very much like, we loved a vinyasa flow, we loved a hot yoga class, like we were in it, right? We wanted to move. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel we both have gotten to this transition where maybe not that we prefer it, but we're more drawn to yin yoga. Just like so people know the difference. Vinyasa is when you're building heat in your body, right? And there's a lot of up and down and a lot of salutations, whereas like yin, like I said, more like holding that position and really letting your body experience, you know, either that discomfort or fall into the position and being able to connect your body and your emotions, which I think is very interesting for the time in life that we are experiencing right now, because I don't think I could appreciate yin yoga when I was in my 20s because I didn't want to connect like that. And now that I'm in my 30s, I'm like, oh, I want to do that time. Like that's all I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that that's an age thing and like a Colorado thing too. A lot of people, I would say vinyasa classes are much more attended than a yin yoga class. I'd certainly subscribe to an evening yin class after a long day of work to just spend time, you know, laying on my back with my arms out. Wow, just that counter movement to having my arms on a computer all day is just huge. And so I think you can get a lot of the same things out of yin and vinyasa. Noticing the sensations in our bodies, breathing, whether it's, you know, a deep hot breath or a deep cooler breath where you're like wearing a hoodie and cuddled up in that one pose with pillows around you. But yeah, I definitely noticed that even still, like some people definitely are in it for the workout, and that's fine, right? Like I'm not gonna say you're doing this for the wrong reasons. I'm gonna say I'm glad you're here. So to each their own.
100%. 100%. But I just find it interesting that both of us had, like, even though our yoga journeys have been different, our transition in life kind of brought us back to the same point. Like we started at the same point and now we're at that same point again, which I think is it's a full circle moment and also something that I just really appreciate about like the growth in emotional maturity as well. Because I do believe from my perspective, we were both runners in different ways. So I think it's very telling, you know, that story along that journey for us.
Yeah, I think it's always important to slow down. And as people who are used to going, we don't make time for the slow slowing. And so I'm glad that things have shifted. And yeah, I certainly lean towards some of those more restorative classes. And homeboy Donnie only goes to hot yoga and it's fast and it's hot and it's hard. And I go with him, you know, once every couple months. And every time I go, I'm like, wow, glad I did that. There's never a time where I'm like, oh, shouldn't have gone to that really hard yoga class that made me sweat to the point where I definitely need to shower. So it's kind of like teaching myself to even be gentle too, because yeah, I'm not seeking out hot fast yoga classes. And that's okay. And
Mhm.
people maybe.
Donnie, if you're listening, I love you so much, and I will always love you forever. Okay. Anyways, my short little step out for Donnie. But do we want to go through a little yoga practice all together? I think that would be a great time if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do that. It's going to be a little different because I want to offer you just a few options, and then Emily will guide us through a little meditation. So I think I'll end with like a chair yoga because I think most people will be seated by that point. But if you're laying in bed right now, this is for you. Or if you are waking up at any point in time in a morning or going to sleep any point in time for bed. So you would find yourself laying down on your back. Maybe you look up at the ceiling and notice what your ceiling looks like. If there's popcorn on your ceiling or a little crack, or it's just the most perfect, beautiful ceiling that keeps you safe in your house, you can look up at that. And if you feel comfortable, you can put your elbows to the sides of your shoulders, allowing a chest opener. You can put your hands facing up and out, ready to receive energy or to give it out, depending on what you choose to do with those hands. Maybe you wiggle your fingers. We love a hip opener. So maybe your legs are down on below you. If you're laying down, just spread your legs wide. Maybe you wiggle your ankles from side to side, taking a moment to wiggle your toes and just breathing. Big, deep inhale. It can be a pretty intense stretch with our arms being wide out and our legs being open. We're probably not used to being in this position too often in our lives. Other things you might try when you're in bed is to bring one of those knees over to the other side of your body, kind of like a cross leg twist fit. You can bring your left hand or right hand down, depending on which side you're on, to pull over for that stretch. And that's a nice twist, kind of wakes up your spine if that feels right for you. Other things you could do while you're lying in bed could be like a happy baby. So bringing your feet in towards themselves, opening your hips in another way by bringing your knees out to the side. I love me a self massage while I'm in bed. I think it's cool. I think no one's looking at you, so who cares? So if there's any part of your body that needs a little love, I like to give my face a little massage before my hands get all dirty in my day, or maybe after I've showered at night. I like to scratch my scalp a little bit. It stimulates hair growth. So there's many, many good things about a lie down yoga session. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think all of like the extra wiggles of your fingers, wrists, any of your joints while there's no pressure put on them is a really good time for when you're laying down. If you weren't laying down and you just tried something new, you can do a lot of those things while sitting or standing as well. If you are standing, I always recommend a little sun salutation. And it's really just kind of how you get there. So you put your feet hip width distance apart. I take my good old time because we're thinking about yin plus a little flow. So maybe you slowly bring your toes up and down. Maybe you spread your toes out wide. I think so much flossing and stretching comes from just moving our fingers and toes. They do so much work for us in a day, from balance to typing to eating to so much. If you are standing, you kind of slowly bring yourself to this really strong, powerful stance. If you know Emily and I at this point, we love SpongeBob, and you can bring your hips around in circles. You can kind of bring anything around in circles while you're standing. Gravity's on our side. So bringing our arms around, maybe even sometimes I like to imagine I'm holding a kind of ball bouncy ball, whatever kind of ball. I like to imagine a color, and then I will bring that ball all around my body, right? I'll bring it to my side. It gives me an ab workout. I'll bring the ball down towards my legs, and that will stretch my hamstrings and my quads. You can move that ball all around if that feels right for you. The stronger you grasp it in your mind and with your fingers, right? Like you're imagining gripping a ball, you're engaging so much more of your body and allowing those muscles to stretch. And it's just good stuff. And so finally, if you're sitting and if you want to come back, these are just ideas, examples. Maybe you're trying them along. I know it's kind of fast, but there's a lot that you can experiment with. But always coming back to that breath, no matter where you're at, even if you're driving and just listening and couldn't fully practice, just always come back to that breath. And if you're seated, preparing for a little meditation by Miss Emily, find yourself in another kind of like upright position. Maybe you shrug your shoulders up to your ears. Maybe you bring them down behind your back. Other things you can do, again, while you're seated is maybe shake out those hands, move those wrists around, creating some flexibility, creating some support so we don't hurt ourselves as much, right? This is mostly preventative maintenance and care. So we can exist as safely and happily as we can in our body. There's no wrong way to do it. Thank you for listening to me. And maybe trying just one thing that's a little uncomfortable to you, right? We're kind of imagining tolerating a distressful time or a slightly uncomfortable thing that we put ourselves into sometimes, right? Can I stretch a little bit further if that feels okay? Can I challenge myself a little bit more day by day? I'm passing this along to Emily. Thank you. The Soul Sisters love you.
All right. Thank you, Alyssa. Appreciate you as always. And I hope that you all, whether it was quick or elongated, you were able to connect with your body a little bit through that process. I am going to take us through our closing meditation. So as you come back from whatever pose you were holding or the breath that you were breathing, just bringing some awareness back into your body, into your eyes. Maybe you're sitting or you lay down. Just let your body get kind of heavy. Let your eyes get heavy. Just kind of remain slow and natural. Notice maybe your chest is rising gently from your breath, slowly falling into the support of whatever is beneath you. Just feel that quiet that exists inside you. I'm just resting in awareness. Let's take an inhale together when you're ready. Inhale through your nose and exhale. Just let it all go. Maybe we're getting ready to start the day. We need a little peace in our heart space. Maybe we're getting ready to end the day and we're taking in all of the overstimulation that we had. We need to give some peace to our heart space there. So I want you to bring that attention to your personal heart space. And just imagine a warm, soft light. Maybe it's white, maybe it's gold, maybe it's purple. It can be whatever color you want, whatever color comes to mind. It's just glowing there, steady, peaceful. Take an inhale and exhale. Continue to breathe. And with each inhale, just let that light expand slightly. Goes from your heart space, and little by little, as your heart beats, starts to broaden over your entire chest and up through your throat and down through your solar plexus until finally you're enclosed in it. You allow it to just soften and settle. Spread that sense of comfort that you can only bring to yourself. Take another inhale and soft sigh. Let it out. And now just take a moment to notice the surface beneath you, maybe the soft sounds around you, paws of cats or dogs, maybe a fan is running. Slowly open your eyes when you're ready. Notice the room around you. Just begin to invite gentle movement back into your fingers and your toes. And just end with a lengthening stretch. Reach your arms up as high as they go, your legs out as long as they will. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And relax. Thank you all for joining us today. Happy World Yoga Day. Thanks for celebrating with us. We love you very much, and we'll see you next time.